market have, then where does that sort of come into play? And he was talking about a couple of celebrities who have, this collection for whatever reason they have, all different types of vehicles, cars and motorbikes, trucks and all the like. But to your point, we're making it difficult for people to get around without a car, and those that do, maybe we're making it even much more challenging by the way we operate our roads, schools and businesses and everything open and close at the same time. Everybody has to be the same place at the same time.
I think it's too much development. That's maybe the gist of it. Or they'll have to do with overhead highways. I don't know. But there again, that's money, I guess. But that's the only solution I see now. Because in town, all the traffic is coming from the eastern districts, which is very bad. The only way that has a freeway right now is West Bay. But the other districts, everyone has to pass through one district to get to town. So there has to be something for them, either the overhead from up that area coming into town somewhere. That's the only solution.
All right. Well, anything else you want to share with us, Mom?
No, not really, but whoever it is needs to get cracking on it to try to solve the problem.
Well, let's get it solved. All right.
Yes.
But thank you for at least highlighting it, and as you're thinking and experiencing, I'm sure others likewise. But thank you very much.
Okay, you're very welcome.
All right. Enjoy your weekend. Thanks. Let's pause and take a break. Phone lines are open. It's open line. Susan is there, and it's me. Between the two of us, we'll talk to you. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
At Flow, we know that 4 are better than 1. Introducing Flow Quad Play. Packed with the fastest, most reliable broadband, the power and control of Flow Evo TV, Cayman's best mobile experience, and tons of home phone minutes, all in one convenient package from only $199 a month. With 4 plans to choose from, you're sure to find one that fits your needs. It's value, ease, and convenience all on one bill with Cayman's #1 network. Find out why 4 are better than 1 with Flow Quad Play at discoverflow.ky. Terms and conditions apply.
This Health Flash is brought to you by Cleveland Clinic, Florida. Over 65 million people around the world have moderate or severe COPD, a family of diseases that includes emphysema and chronic bronchitis. Cleveland Clinic, Florida offers a wide range of management and treatment options for COPD, including programs focused on education, medication, smoking cessation, and pulmonary rehabilitation. A team of experts is ready to review your symptoms and test results to develop a comprehensive treatment plan. For more information, visit clevelandclinicflorida.org.
This is Cayman Up Close, a weekly special feature from Radio Cayman News.
I'm Shanda Gallego.
Shanda Gallego goes behind the scenes with Cayman's newsmakers, artists, and emerging talent to get their unique and personal experience, their real story.
This week, we turn the spotlight.
Sundays at noon, 6:10 p.m. and 10:10 p.m. and always online at radiocayman.gov.ky. Tune in for Cayman Up Close this weekend.
Hello, I am Noel March, a small business owner in Georgetown for over 20 years. Small businesses depend on government to develop a quality infrastructure and environment that encourages entrepreneurs to create and grow local businesses, resulting in the creation of jobs and prosperity for Caymanians. Small businesses help drive our economy. Just as we have supported building the new airport, we must support the building of the new cargo and cruise port. It will give our tourism industry the opportunity to grow and Caymanian entrepreneurs the chance to shine. Support the port. Support our tourism.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. It's open line. We want to share your thoughts with us. Go right ahead. We want to hear from you. You can WhatsApp 925-3261. Likewise, you can email talktoday@candw.ky. It's a great day. Even better when you're a part of it and making your contributions. Quick sentiment share with us. This person says, good afternoon, says, I don't want to be offensive. Yes, there are many of us who call the shows perhaps more often than others, whatever the motivations. But 2 quick points to note. 1, we shouldn't discourage those who call. Maybe it is their hobby, maybe it is their passion, maybe it is their calling. No pun intended, he says. But 2, perhaps when we do call, what are we sharing? How constructive and how productive the person sort of couches language a little bit differently. But goes on to say, for those who don't share their thoughts, the question has to be asked, why? Is it inability to access? And this is the part that struck me. He says, he works at, and he names the company. I won't. Maybe I'll change that later on in life, but for now I won't. And they have specifically, this company he works for, specifically said, we don't want you, engaged in the talk shows while you're in company time. You're not going to call from the office, you're not going to listen to them. No reason given. That's just it. And he says, he's been thinking about that. He writes, now, is that infringement on my personal freedom? Is that an employer's right to limit an employee's sort of participation? Something to consider. Now, he shares some other things that says, perhaps we can look at that later, but that's not yet for us to share with the public. But that last point, the notion that employees are reportedly sharing that their employers are saying to them, we want you to limit your public commentary because it could reflect negatively on us. Is that the employers being abundantly cautious to guard against work permit renewals, potential contracts, or what have you? Is it that, some have alleged, certain politicians will not think twice about making it difficult for some people? Is it just that maybe they're saying, you're on your phone all the time, you're not being productive? What is that issue? Now, we recognize that in a society where you have millions of people, it may be easier for you to sort of not be as readily identifiable than in a society where there's only, tens of thousands. But at the end of the day, if it's a democratic society and your freedoms are being curtailed, if you're, self-imposing some level of sanctions that limit your public participation, whether you're volunteering in some program, whether you're serving in some public capacity, not a paid nor elected position, are you doing not only the country a disservice by denying it your contribution, but also are you denying yourself that greater fulfillment? Doesn't mean that everybody has equal value and worth to contribute, and their skill sets may not be the same, but everyone has, I believe, something of great value if offered correctly. Your thoughts? 949-8037, toll free, 1-800-534-8255, or you can share your thoughts with us as you so choose, as we look forward to having you join our discussions. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255, or WhatsApp, as some have done, 925-3261. Either way, glad to hear from you. Now, the notion of sort of democracy and the like, we had shared the issue earlier about the speaker coming from outside and being elected, and we got one person weighed in saying, good idea. Well, to be fair, and only because I think if you share something, it's not just for me, unless you say it's just for me. This person says, nope, bad idea. Plain and simple. Full stop, period. That's the end of it. The speaker should be an elected member, and it should be for the elected members to decide whether they wanted to be elected member or not. But that decision, this person says, is solely the domain of the parliament. Well, what is your view? That person, you may feel, is being dogmatic and hard and fast in his view, but doesn't mean that they're wrong. Do you agree with that? If you're looking at the Speaker of the House, should it be, as this person says, an elected member? That's the system we have. That's the system that should work. And we leave it to them to decide how they want. And if they want to bring someone in, well, they appoint that person. Or should it be, as we shared earlier from the student, was relayed through the educator who says students suggested, why can't we have the speaker an elected position? And the country selects that person. So, one, it takes away any sort of appearance of influence, or makes it challenging for the speaker, if elected, to serve the role and function of the speaker and look after the interests of his constituency. Now, we've been grateful to date to have the caliber of speakers that we have, who serve not just with a level of acumen, but also, sort of forthrightness to command the House in a way. Now, in this evolving democracy and our transitioning constitution, do we need to rethink it, reevaluate? Well, it's up to you to weigh in. So, as we shared, two very competing views. One says, no, status quo. The other says, no, change. Well, if you go to the supermarket and you tender a note, you get back change and your goods, you might feel good. If you're an elected member and you go to the polls and the change is there and you're not longer part of the fray, you may not feel as well. So, matter of perspective, how you see change. But they say it's inevitable. 949-837, 1-800-534-8255, or WhatsApp 925-3261. We had a chance to sort of, perhaps, I said to the individuals, this is part 3 and maybe the closing of the mini-series. A couple of individuals over the last, I can't say a month because this is the start of the new year. So from December through the Christmas and into today, we had the third discussion. Equally anxious to continue discussing other things, but on this particular topic, maybe we have exhausted the notion. The individuals were sharing that the pace of development in this country isn't fast enough. We're not embracing technology sufficiently. We're not looking at our infrastructure properly. We're too quick to dismiss, greater densities. One said that the notion put forward by the Speaker of the House, he said the only unfortunate thing about that is that it came from the politician also as speaker, not from the politician wearing, the hat of being an elected member. So he speaks not only to his vision, but also his convictions. And he thought, maybe 50 stories is too much, but maybe it's not enough. But the notion that we need to be looking at our densities, and not just limiting, whether we build in a long 7-mile beach or we're building it for commercial or the hotel and hospitality sectors, but perhaps we look at the way we build our homes. Now, he said we may not appreciate the fact that almost, everywhere in the developed world, and it's increasingly happening here, families are being sort of, I don't remember the word he used, but I guess my translation would be, raised up. We're now living in apartments, little or no outside space. Even, he says, when you go to places where they have a home, but there's no yard space. Now, thankfully, some of them, there may be a park, half a mile away, or a few miles away. They have an outdoor green space, but you have to leave your home to go to this park to play, and there'll be, other people are playing there. Unlike what was the norm not that long ago, where you got your piece of land and you had your backyard, mostly, that you could go and run around and play. And we're losing that. And as he said, if you look at the very, 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 urgent push to move the country forward to increase its population, would that even become a greater strain on our land? When we come back from our break, we want to talk about that, the notion that we have limited land space, the potential consequence, negative or otherwise, of increased development and the limited use of green space in our homes and in our public spaces. 949-8037 or toll free at 1-800-534-8255. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
It's 2019, and you know what they say, new year, new me?
Yeah, Bobo. For me, it's new year, new car.
For real? What you thinking of buying?
The new RAV4 from Vant Motors. It's one of the safest compact SUVs out there with enough room inside, which is good for my family and convincing my wife we need this. Plus, it's fuel efficient, fun to drive, and on top of that, it's on sale too.
Yeah, and I hear it's one of the best-selling SUVs on the market.
Cause you don't gotta spend more to do more. That's why I'm gonna get mine now, while they have a new stock to select from.
Do more in your RAV4. Save thousands on the all-new 2019 RAV4. Test drive yours today and see why the RAV4 is a best-selling SUV in Cayman. Available only at Vant Motors, Walkers Road.
Flowers Bottled Water is a sponsor of Radio Cayman's CI Retro Talk Today, special Cayman Islands historical program series. Flowers Bottled Water, the cooler of water. Telephone 949-8688. The next CI Retro Talk Today special program presentation comes your way on Thursday, January the 17th at 12:15 p.m. on Radio Cayman.
For years, we have been promised prosperity on the heels of rapid development.
However, last year, over 2,000 Caymanian families
required the services of the Needs Assessment Unit.
Now, we are faced with the largest capital project in our history.
At the risk of destroying what attracts people to our shores.
The government's Destination Performance Report states that annually
1.8 million cruise visitors contributed
$154 million in revenue.
Whereas 450,000 stayover visitors contribute $497 million.
$497 million.
It is time for a national development plan.
It is time for a national development plan.
And better decision making.
That takes into account our human, financial, and ecological resources.
Where we will no longer be driven like a boat without a rudder.
We don't need handouts from cruise lines.
Get your answers. Sign the petition.
Sign the petition. Support the referendum.
Support the referendum.
Support the referendum.
And let's build our future together.
Together.
Radio Cayman Super Jam Show, the #1 drive time entertainment show on your radio. Enjoy your mix of pop, hip-hop,
dancehall, urban gospel, Latin hits,
reggae, and soca. The Super Jam Show is fueled by the proud sponsorship of
Savannah Pharmacy, just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
If you are seeking a bachelor's, master's, or doctorate degree, the Ministry of Education is now accepting applications for the 2019 Overseas Scholarships. Give yourself the education you deserve and apply today. All scholarship applications must be submitted by January 31st, 2019. For more information on scholarships and the application process, kindly visit education.gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. 949-8837, 1-800-534-8255. Hey, Miss Susan keeps me not just informed, but entertained. You could repeat that joke on the air to us, Miss Susan. That would be, you can tell it much better than I do. And if you ever, get a chance to look at her personal Facebook page with all the good things of Cayman's history and the like, certainly, was it Friender on Facebook? And sometimes you hear her voicing her poetries and the like. She is, like so many, untapped potential, incredible talent. 8949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. Likewise, you can, send us your thoughts on email, talktoday@candw.ky, or you can WhatsApp 925-3261. Just double check that WhatsApp there, not for us, for this part. And you can let us know where you are in relation to what your thoughts are when we consider all of these interesting things that are happening in our society. Now, one other point to share with you in relation to the students and education that was relayed by by a lady who says, every so often she gets the opportunity to be part of a group that either assists teachers in a certain way, volunteers with some students, and she says that she hears so much about the poor behavior and unruliness, the discipline and the like of students. And yes, at times you can imagine that must be challenging for the teachers and the parents and even the students themselves. But she found that even when she encountered those instances of such behavior, she found that if you approach the students in a particular way, and even that child that may be struggling with a particular issue, we can get the issue resolved, get the student back on track. But the question that she had asked us is that do we know what sort of additional resources, not just the peripatetic that we offer up to our schools and the need for those specialists, but is there a way that the wider community can be of value to our schools, not just the public schools, but our private schools as well, so that the education system as a whole works? And she said she made a suggestion that maybe we'll facilitate it through the PTAs. She knows that some companies do it, perhaps more for the public relations and the good sort of community spirit that they may want to exhibit, whether it's genuine or not. Sometimes an extra pair of hands that has the competency and the compassion is all that's needed. But could we engage more people on a very regular basis so that the schools, the classes in particular, know that this is going to be something that they can rely on for at least that term, if not even for the school year? Let's take a caller and join our next caller. Welcome, you're on Talk Today.
Yes, Sterling.
Hey, welcome back, ma'am.
Yes, we have a program going on here. Stop the Slap, is it called? Stop the Slap?
There's a PSA that out, there's been voiced there.
Okay. Yeah, that's used as in reference to what I want to say. Stop the Slap. I say, Sterling, we need to stop the hate in the Cayman Islands. We need to put down the low mentality in the Cayman Islands. We need to stop thinking that we do not need each other in this island. We will need somebody at some point in time. And I want to say, we, the people of this island, that sit now being cowards, they should be ashamed of themselves to sit here being cowards in a small island and letting our island float away from us, left, right, and center. So, you people who's out there in the slow lane that don't care what happens in the Cayman Islands, snap out of the behavior of saying the things that you do say when it comes to negativeness. Get out and stop being cowards for your country. It's not what your country can do for you, it's what you can do for your country. Sterling, I thank you so much, honey. You have a great day. I hope I don't have to call back.
Well, you're always welcome as always, but thank you for sharing, And
okay.
As I listened to that caller, this notion of stop the hate. Now, you probably are there much better position to create, a better slogan, but I don't think she would mind that. But take on board the very simple but significant, suggestion that she has given. The hate, the vitriolic nature, the divisiveness, the derogatory, demeaning comments that we sometimes, without even thinking and blinking, we utter one to another. You may say, oh, well, geez, here we go again. The old, touchy-feely stuff. Well, it's not about that. Think about it. Do you want to live in a society that people are, at the very least, exercise some level of consideration? Or do you want where there's a free-for-all and people are, what was that word, Miss Susan? Grabalicious? People sometimes don't appreciate it. When you travel to a place and you see a semblance of civility and respect, people are congenial, people have a sense of morality and exhibit a sense of ethics. Would you not want that ethos to permeate your society as well? Let's take the next caller. Welcome, you're on Talk Today.
Yeah, good afternoon, Dwayne, and I hope your day is going well.
Amen, and I trust and pray the same for you.
Well, let me put it this way, that I live for Jesus, so I'm a happy person.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
I don't worry about. I don't have. The only thing I concern about is what I can do for others now. I've been selfish for so long. I'm not trying to do things for others now.
So you've sort of reinterpreted President Kennedy's notion. Ask not, what others can do for you, but what you can do for others. Is your motto now?
That's right.
Oh, there you go, man. Hey, do more for each other. Yeah.
Yeah. But again, I want to kind of emphasize something on. Remember yesterday when I called in?
Yes,
I
sir.
was talking about this thing that has happened to. It seems like everybody throughout the world now. It's a thing about money, how much money you can make, and how much you can do, right? And I was thinking about it the other night. I said, look at the United States, the country that is still a great country. But some years ago, I think it was in the late 70s, early 70s, maybe late 70s, when everybody was shipping stuff overseas to be made in China and in Taiwan and in this place and that place, because the manufacturing process was cheaper, the labor was cheaper, so the people were making more money. But nobody thought about when you gave the Chinese the recipe for this and that, the other thing to make it, they would be stupid if they didn't take advantage of it. And they did not, just leave it there. They took advantage of it. So now they were making cars, they were making bicycles, they were making everything under the sun that people had sent over to make and put it on a different, using their recipe, but put it on a different manufacturer's name. And they were selling it here. And if you go into stores today, I did that. I did a little exercise the other day. I went into Cost You Less. I went into Price Right. I went into all the stores, all the grocery stores. And I looked at the number of items that are made in China. And I said to myself, look what happened. Because of your greed, you wanted to work them poor Chinese for nothing, to get things made up there for nothing. Then you could make a big profit on it down on this end. And it backfired on you because you see now, Mr. Trump is trying to get people to come back and do manufacturing and all that. But China isn't going to stop because the United States decided to go back, do their manufacturing back in the States. The point I'm making is this. Is this. We in Cayman have lost that humanity that we used to have when we were out on. I don't think there was a person in Cayman that ever went hungry back in the day. We didn't have anything, but a neighbor or someone living close to you, they either came over, they could beg you for something, and if you had it, you'd share it with them, or they were hungry, and you'd fix a little pot or something for them people, for them children especially. And look what's happening to it today. We got this thing about this money, 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 money. And then we start all these companies here, all these people who are building and doing this and doing the other thing. And they're bringing in their own people. And don't you think now, Dwayne, that all of them people that are coming in here from Europe and places like that, that they are not poor, Don't just think that it's poor. People from Jamaica or from Honduras or India. These people come from Europe are poor, and they have nothing except looking for a job, and they get a job here, and they're not spending a lot of money. So we have lost so much over the years because of that one thing, the love of money, and it will continue to haunt us until we realize what's happening. Because the money doesn't stay here. It's not recirculating in the Cayman Islands. It's going back to where they come from because they got farmed up. They're trying to help them, and they send every penny they can. You go in the grocery stores, go in the banks and see the people buying the money orders and buying this and sending the stuff, the thing overseas. Let me tell you, Cayman got to watch closely because all of this stuff we're talking about, people coming here, people did. And like I told you yesterday, that article in that, I'm going to get a copy for it. Get a copy for you.
Yes, please.
Because it's something that every politician should read and see the wisdom of those guys back then when they said, the title of the speech that they had was to, it says, hasten slowly. hasten slowly and take your time, and don't just because people come in here. I saw Hazard told them people, or they trying to stop Hazard from building a little park there up in the north side. I guess they said by the yacht club or there, by Cabo Yacht Club, somewhere, or that little beach there. And because these people didn't like it, or someplace they built it, and the people now that own houses and stuff are complaining because that land wasn't supposed to be for this. It's public land. It's for the government. They can do what they want with it. But these people, because they got little money and they come down here, they think they can tell us what to do. And as you stand up to them, my friend, don't let them get away with it. You go ahead and build your park with the Caymanians, because at least to have that, because this is what's happening in Cayman. We're not looking after each other like we used to. We went crazy.
Yeah, you're right, man. It's unfortunate that some of the things that were probably, and again, we presumed or assumed that this was settled and established and that was how it was. Maybe we failed to ensure that because of the changing attitudes and mindsets of some, and maybe even the legalities of others, that we didn't properly make an accurate record of it, either through legislation and amendment. All right. Hey, thanks very much, sir, for sharing. As Ms. Susan reminds me, look, boy, stop talking and start going to the news. We're going to pause and take a break. Join us if you want when we return. Stay tuned.
There will be a renewed focus on delivering student-centered education at the University College of the Cayman Islands as the institution welcomes a new president. Dr. Stacey McAfee tells CIGTV that UCCI will also be taking a look at overall student development in 2019. Dr. McAfee took up the position on January 1st. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines and news elsewhere. A bus crash in eastern Cuba has left at least 7 people dead, including 4 foreigners and dozens of others injured. 2 of the foreigners were from Argentina, while 1 was from France and the other from Germany. Some 33 people were injured, including citizens from the UK, the US, Canada, France, the Netherlands, and Spain. U.S. President Donald Trump has renewed a threat to declare a national emergency to fund the construction of a wall on the Mexican border. A row with Democrats over funding the wall has left the government partially shut down for 20 days, leaving some 800,000 federal employees unpaid. On Saturday, the shutdown becomes the longest in U.S. history. And R. Kelly's daughter has broken her silence about the allegations of sexual abuse surrounding her estranged dad. On Thursday, Boku Abi, real name Joanne Kelly, posted on Instagram saying she was devastated by the recent accusations in the documentary Surviving R. Kelly. The 20-year-old said she hasn't seen or spoken to him in years, calling him a monster and a terrible father. R. Kelly has denied all the allegations against him. His lawyer has dismissed the documentary as another round of stories being used to fill reality TV time. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. 949-8037 or toll free at 1-800-534-8255. It's open line. Share your thoughts with us. We're happy to listen, but also maybe engage in some constructive dialogue. The last caller before the news was sharing a point, and it reminds us that perhaps the whole issue of what is the public's right of the beach? Is it as many, including some of our lawyers who have shared over the years, that it is that space between where the tide ebbs and flows by the water's edge up to the vegetation, that thing we call the beach? Is it, as some have interpreted and said, nope, it's very specific. It's a small section between the high tide and the low tide. Now, in some countries, because of their climes and the like, that could be tens of feet, hundreds of feet, to be a significant drop in tide. Here, one fella said, it's probably just a matter of inches. You probably got to walk, 1 foot in front of the other, literally, as if you were trying to walk a straight line. Now, he may have been exaggerating, but the point is that it isn't very large space. When the expectation and understanding by many, not just Caymanians of generations past, but even some, that is the beach, is that space where there's a sand or there in shore, like there's no vegetation. And I share that because one individual, again this week, talking about his family visiting for the first time in a long time over Christmas, going down and looking at the seas, and he said, if you notice, there are a few things, not just in addition to limited beach access, is blocked beach accesses, even where the accesses are marked, it's challenging to get to the beach because you travel a certain distance, and on the way in across the properties there's some impediment. There's overgrown vegetation, there's seemingly deliberate vegetation of prickles and the like. Bougainvillea, I think it was one he says, seems to be a common plant that is used to discourage movement. Others, there are little walls or construction debris or different little things that impede your passage from the road to the beach. But he said, if you look at some of the vegetation, no longer are the cocoa plums and the grape trees, but there is, in some cases, some of the plants that if you leave them alone, they'll grow all the way from the road into the road and down across the beach and into the sea. They're not mangroves. Now, are we looking at potentially how that could impact not just access, but maybe redefine the boundaries and the like? But the other thing that he shared was this notion that our failures to properly record and ensure that people fully understand the rights that they have. Not, he said, that you have knowingly, continually walked over someone else's private property, and all of a sudden now you should, because you've done it for so long, be expected to have some right. He doesn't believe that's the notion of a prescriptive use. But if a footpath, over particular lands, as he believes many of the roads are now, the original footpaths, the cows were being herded from one spot to the next, and over time they widened and they got wider. They became the thoroughfares that made people move. That should be a natural part of the transition. He says if you look within the Georgetown area, how many times, he said, as a Georgetownian in particular, he says, in the early days you moved about. We're seeing some instances where those little paths are being blocked, have been removed, built on. It's probably the same in other areas, but yet it would, if we had preserved them, would make not just the pedestrianization of Georgetown, but the use would have allowed people to more easily walk from one part of the town to the other, whether they were going to the bank or the post office, whether they're going to the lunch, or even if they're going to be moving from work, office building A to work office building B. And yet we create blocked spaces through fences and the like, and people no longer can move. Now, how do we protect the private property and the rights and preserve the public's use and passage between spaces? Maybe an easier question to answer, maybe a much more difficult one, only because of our, as he says, our selfish, self-serving ethos. Your thoughts? 8949-8037, toll free at 1-800-534-8255. Flo makes it a toll-free line, or you can WhatsApp 925-3261 and share your thoughts so that we at least get your perspective. 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. And as we were looking, just quickly while the news was on, and some comments some people had shared, I presume these are from postings, maybe in response to news articles and the like, relative to the Honourable Opposition Leader's appearance before the Central Planning Authority, and some of the comments that this person sort of must, again, I'm only imagining from how it was shared, it's a copy and paste, Presumably, it's coming from the social media. A place that I rarely dance, Miss Susan. I don't. I stay away. But thankful those who do share with us. And the person's comment on the comments simply that, it's good that you have public officials who understand the issue when something's a public policy issue, when something is more of a private issue that's within the purview of the appointed board. All right, let's go to our phones. Welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon, Dwayne.
Good afternoon, man. How are you today?
Okay, thankful.
Oh, that's good to know, man. I know you always are.
Yeah, concern cruise ship port.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I read in the paper about a week or so ago, probably 2 weeks. And they said that government had given away hundreds of millions of dollars worth of concessions.
Mm-hmm.
What the government needs to do is start collecting these concessions. And if they had done so before, we would have the money that we need to build that cruise ship port on our own. That's all I have to say right now, Dwayne. Thank you.
So we do it on our own, huh? All right. Hey, thanks for sharing, man. Now, whether it's the redevelopment of the port to facilitate not just easier, more efficient, but perhaps cheaper ways to get cargo to our shores, much not only in a more timely manner, perhaps safer as well for the workers and the like, or whether it's our cruise passengers. As I hear the discussion, I always reflect on a gentleman who's, I can hear his words ringing in my ears now. He says, have we looked as exhaustively as we can at the options that are available? He says, unfortunately, like so many things that we do in this country, we either are very short-sighted in our approach, or we narrowly focus on what the thing is going to do for us then and there. And maybe he says that's why he doesn't have some of the friends that he has. But as he shares with us, he says it's important that when we do these things, that we're thinking about the national interests and the long-term benefit to the country. It will displace some people, but will it mean that they only displace for a short time? And will it mean that only a small number? If we do it the other way, that we're displacing a lot of people for a longer time, and what we're doing can't be undone, then that should obviously be a sign that it's not the best thing to do. Now, that doesn't mean, he says to us, that just because something proves to be unpopular, it may not be politically expedient, it may not be that thing that will win you votes on a popularity contest, a political election and otherwise. Doesn't mean that it's wrong. It just means that maybe you have to fight a little harder. But just because you have the financial backing or seemingly the public on your side, doesn't mean that it's right either. He has shared very, very consistently with us specifically that with the port in particular, we're about to get it wrong again. Now, will he ever say what he says privately, publicly? We'll see. Maybe he has shared it with the heirs that he thinks needs to hear. Maybe he hasn't. But a question I've always asked of him is, why is this, that our people, like him in particular, unable to gain the access, the exercise and exert the influence that some of us, much younger, seem to believe that they hold? He always responds, well, you put us on a higher state than we deserve. But the question is, though, are we as respectful of those people who have the experience and expertise, who seemingly, as we say, don't have any horses in that race? Now, does it come back to a discussion that we had earlier with Jeffy, that if you're from here, you're not valued. If you're from there and other places, you seem to be much, much more welcome, and your input much, more willingly taken on board. Well, that may be the case. Does it make it right? Will it change? Well, depends on us. One thing's for sure, though, our children, as they go through school here, as they travel overseas, whether to attend further studies or just to travel. If we don't make it a place that they feel that they have some value and worth, or will we be at risk of losing it? And is that the unwritten plan? Don't know. 8949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. I believe we have the final break to take. Is that looming? Well, if it is, we'll take that. And when we come back, what will you share with us? Stay tuned for Talk Today.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Barry's Golden Jerk, the Cayman Brac sensation, ranked the #1 restaurant in Cayman Brac by TripAdvisor and home of the authentic jerk. Barry's Golden Jerk, serving large portions of the best jerk chicken and pork. Open Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday near the airport, or call 917-6713. Barry's Golden Jerk. It's simply better.
Eats Cafe Limited. They do it right with 3 restaurants and a diverse choice of tasty dishes. There's Eats Cafe, Yossi Sushi, and Legends Classic Grill. There's always something for everyone. Eats Cafe Limited, 30 years in Cayman, bringing you Radio Cayman CI Retro, Talk Today's special Cayman Islands Historical and Cultural Program Series. All the NFL playoffs are right here on big screen television for your enjoyment.
Having a party at the beach or a team building exercise at the park? Reserving your cabana is easy with the Public Works Department online booking system. Create your account and use the online calendar to pick your desired date and facility. You can even pick the cabana you want to use. Look for your confirmation email, print it off, and bring it with you as proof of reservation. Enjoying our natural environment has never been so easy. Visit www.eservices.gov.ky to book your cabana today.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255, or WhatsApp 925-3261. Share your thoughts. Some have. One individual sent through a sentiment here, and he said, although this isn't it, for you to read on air, you might want to look into it. Well, I tried to do in a break. The link that was sent didn't open, so let me go. But this was a link to education, and the person's comment was that simply, when are we as either a government or as a people going to be able to properly prioritize, the projects that we're looking at? Do we choose education and prisoner rehabilitation over infrastructure projects? When we look at infrastructure projects, things like roads and public transport as important or more important than ports and whether seaport or airport. And the person did say that all these things have to be addressed, and it's a challenge for a government to do so. Some will give you a quick win because you can point to it. Some will take perhaps a generation or more for you to genuinely see the impact. But they say all will cost, and he types it in capital letters. Now, does he mean financial as well as social costs, environmental as well as economic? What are your thoughts? 949-8037 or toll free 1-800-534-8255, or you may WhatsApp 925-3261, and if you want you can send us an email, talktoday@candw.ky, and let us share with the listeners what you share with us. Or you can share directly and call. Now, one last maybe view offer up to you today. As we move forward into the new year, I always believe it's important to reflect, have that sense of introspection and the like. But as many do, as they rethink, well, what did we do wrong? Did we hit our sales targets? Did we manage to operate within a budget? Can we expand our programming? Well, what can we do? And always believe you never rest on your laurels. No matter how good it is, can always be better. And if you think you made it to perfection, you're probably no longer in the land of the living. So always room for improvement. Well, what can we do better? A couple have shared, why not have one of your programs in the evening between 4 and 6, for argument's sake? Well, I'm amenable to it. And if you think, let us know. We can get Susan to host it. I don't know. We'll see. 949-8037. We'll switch the roles around. I'll do the board. She does the mic. All right, Miss Susan? Nope. She says no. She is radio only. Hey, now I was asked earlier on my way in by someone who was probably, I think it's her last evening here. I think she gets ready to head back maybe a while before she returns again. And as one of those frequent sort of visitors to our shores, she says, what is it about our country that it seems that we no longer seem to be able to point fingers as to who's in charge? And for a second, we were talking about something else, and I was kind of caught off. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, you look at your civil service. Who's in charge? Is it the governor, the deputy governor, the department heads, and the like? She wasn't trying so much to complain, as it were. She said she had a query and she was speaking to a particular section. Now, she must have got it resolved. She didn't ask for any assistance. But it seemed to have been bumped up the chain for a while. And then it says, got her to thinking, well, in the political arena, she's obviously somewhat familiar with politics in other places and somewhat here. She says, well, we have the premier, we have the opposition leader, fully understand their roles. We have the speaker, and no sort of disputing the import of the role of the speaker, and certainly the individual whom she says she admires tremendously. But as a Speaker of the House, her recollection that he's very, very public and has, without hesitation, expanded the role and scope of the Speaker in terms of public commentary. Says, many will condemn, but she doesn't think that that's a good thing if they were to try to silence the role of the Speaker. But she says, look at the elected government, and you have the Premier, who is without question, as she understands the Constitution, the person who is in charge. But when it comes to an issue with the port or the dump or any of the other issues, it seems, she says, to be like what it was way back when, that the individual ministers, would be the ones who are running the show, as like what she understands it to be now, that the buck stops with the Premier, who can hire and fire his cabinet, who can say, okay, we're going to do it this way or not that way. Now, recognizing not just her investment in the country, but I think her desire to, as she shares, one day maybe retire here. A lot of people say, oh, it's too expensive. They work here, they want to leave. She's looking forward to being able to spend not just 6 weeks when she comes over to Christmas, or not, a few weeks in the summer and over Easter, and come as often as she wants, but maybe only be away 6 weeks from the year from Cayman, as opposed to maybe only be able to spend not even 3 months in totality in the country. Now, she says, who is in charge? Maybe it's not something that you thought about. Maybe you assume, like I did, well, of course the Premier is in charge. If any of the ministers step out of line or say or do, he'll call them in and rap them over the knuckles and say, get back in line, because that's the way the Constitution works. Maybe, as you do, I assume that he has absolute confidence in the competence of his ministers, and he knows that when they say and do, not only are they towing the party line, but they're speaking from the government sheet, and this is the way forward. Now, she obviously has, through her comments, started to question that. She did say that, unfortunately, it is not an expectation of her to be able to get involved with the local politics. Her concern isn't that something will happen will make it prohibitively expensive for her to visit and to live in this country. She says that's not an issue. She's just concerned that it could put the country financially sometimes in a bad state, make it difficult for future generations. Her concern is that the threats to safety and quality of life, but she believes for the most part the people here appreciate and understand that and will hopefully do what needs to be done before it's too late. But she says, we're not necessarily pointing fingers at the right people because maybe we don't know, who it is that we need to point fingers at, who is in charge. It left me thinking after she left. I'm wondering if my assumptions were correct, if my understanding and interpretation of the function of the Constitution is correct. Or is it, like she says, well, maybe we really haven't advanced it. Maybe it's still just on paper, and the practice is what it was way back when. Well, that's a thought for you to consider. I invite you to, if Mr. Orton, wants to engage you, he has not just a wealth of knowledge and experience and expertise, but the forum and the individuals as guests who can continue that discussion on Monday or Wednesday or Friday or any other day, whether you join him over a good game of dominoes and see him socially or otherwise. Now, obviously our invitation is for you to listen to our programming, join Mr. Hart and his crew Monday morning for the record. Certainly invite you to be an active participant, not just a listener, but an active participant here on Talk Today as well. 949-8037 takes you to both shows. 1-800-534-8255 is the Flow toll-free line. And of course, if you want to message us, if you want to make a request, you want to bring us a particular point to our attention, WhatsApp 925-3261. Enjoy your weekend. I don't think there's anything particular on this weekend, Miss Susan, that we should remind people of, other than to be safe as they go about enjoying it. It's still early days in the new year. Still time for you to, resolve what it is that you want to do, not just in relation to your own health and wellness and well-being, but maybe there's a particular educational undertaking that you've been contemplating and for some reason haven't been sufficiently motivated. Maybe you haven't been financially incentivized. Well, maybe do it for your own edification. But whatever that thing is, make it so that you are improving yourselves as you look about trying to improve the lot of others, and it's for the greater good. Until Monday, be blessed.
District to district, moving through the waters to Cayman Bracken, Little Cayman. Your station, your voice. All things Cayman, one radio, many people. This is home.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.